All right, so welcome to this deep dive. And today we're going to be talking about unlocking your brain's hidden power.
Yeah.
And we've got some really interesting source material to kind of guide us through this.
Absolutely.
And, you know, when I think about hidden brain power,
Right.
it's almost like we've got this secret weapon inside of us that we don't even know how to use.
Yeah, it's like this incredible potential just waiting to be tapped into.
Exactly.
So, and the cool thing is our source material today actually lays out a pretty clear path for us to do just that.
I like that.
So we're gonna talk about how to prep our minds to be ready to access this power.
Right.
And then we're gonna dive into the actual techniques for activating it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like laying the groundwork and then putting it into action.
Exactly.
Okay, so
what I find really fascinating is that our brains are constantly processing information in the background. You know, even when we're not consciously aware of it.
Right.
It's like having this amazing team of researchers working behind the scenes.
Right.
You know, just churning through data-making connections.
So even when we think we're not thinking.
Yes. Exactly.
Our brains are still working.
They're still at it.
That's incredible.
And the thing is, they're often coming up with these brilliant insights that we might miss if we don't know how to tap into them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about these prep steps.
Okay.
Because our sources lay out 4 key things
Right.
that we need to do to get our minds ready.
Yeah.
And the first one is to really absorb the problem you're trying to solve.
Right.
Now, I know this might sound kind of basic,
Yeah.
but they really emphasize, like, not just thinking about it casually, but, like, really immersing yourself in it.
Right. Like almost marinating in it.
Yeah.
You know, really letting it soak in.
Exactly. So what does that actually look like? I mean,
So it's about
practice.
it's about going beyond just the surface level. You know, not just thinking, okay, I need to solve this problem.
All right.
But really diving into the details.
Okay.
You know, writing it down, saying it out loud, maybe even breaking it down into smaller chunks.
Okay.
Researchers at the University of Amsterdam actually found that participants who spent more time really exploring the nuances of a problem were much more likely to have those aha moments later on.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like you're giving your subconscious mind a high-resolution image to work with
Okay.
instead of just a blurry snapshot.
Wow. I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving your brain the right data
That's
to work
so
with.
good.
Like, that's kind of a vague idea.
Yeah, you got to feed it the good stuff.
Okay. Step 2 is to visualize the map. Now, when they say map, we're not talking about like an actual physical map.
Yeah. No, not a literal map.
Right.
It's more about creating a mental picture
Okay.
of where you are now with the problem and where you want to go.
Okay.
You know, and how you might get there.
So it's like a road map, but in your mind.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And the reason this is so powerful is because our brains are wired to look for patterns. You know, we're constantly trying to make sense of the world.
Right.
And by visualizing that path from problem to solution, you're essentially giving your subconscious a roadmap to follow.
Okay.
A study from the University of Chicago actually showed that participants who visualized their goals were 42% more likely to achieve them.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's like programming your internal GPS for success.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've absorbed the problem. We've visualized the map.
Yes.
Step 3,
All right.
believe in yourself.
Yes.
Now, I know this might sound a little cliche, a little, you know.
Touchy-feely.
Yeah. But our source material really emphasizes this point.
Yeah, and there's a good reason for that.
And I'm curious to hear why.
It's because it's not just about feeling good. It actually has a real impact on how our brains work.
Really?
Yeah. Stanford researchers found that people who believe in their abilities show increased activity in the brain's reward centers
Interesting.
when they're working on a challenge.
So it's
So it creates this positive feedback loop.
Okay.
Right? The more you believe you can succeed, the more motivated you are, the more engaged you become, and the better you actually perform.
So it's almost like self-belief is a performance-enhancing drug.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay, and then finally, step 4 is to learn widely.
Yes.
This is one of my favorites.
I love this one too.
All right.
And there's a good reason for that.
Tell me why.
The more diverse your knowledge base is, the more connections your subconscious can make. Right. It's like you're giving it more ingredients to work with.
It's like cooking.
Exactly. It's like combinatorial creativity.
I love that.
Right. The more ingredients you have, the more interesting dishes you can create.
Yeah.
And researchers at the University of Michigan found that people who engage in diverse learning experiences, like reading books on different topics or taking classes outside of their field, show increased activity in the brain's default mode network.
Interesting.
Which is associated with creativity and insight.
So the more we learn,
the
more creative we can be.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so those are our 4 prep steps.
Okay, so we've prepped our minds.
We've laid the groundwork.
Now for the fun part.
All right, let's do it.
Let's activate that hidden power.
Yes.
Our sources give us 5 techniques to experiment with.
Okay.
The first one is to distract your prefrontal cortex.
Now, when we say distract, we don't mean, scroll through social media, right, or anything like that.
Gotcha.
The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain that's responsible for logical thinking, decision-making, and, importantly, self-censorship.
So it's like the overthinking part of our brain?
It can be, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's really helpful, but other times it can actually get in the way of those brilliant insights.
So we need to distract it so our subconscious can take over.
You need to give it a little break.
Okay.
Let the subconscious come through.
How do we do that?
So one way to do that is to engage in simple, repetitive tasks that occupy the prefrontal cortex just enough to let the subconscious shine through.
Okay.
So things like showering, gardening, even folding laundry.
Interesting.
These activities require just enough focus to keep the prefrontal cortex busy, but not so much that they block those intuitive whispers, and get this. A study published in the journal Thinking and Reasoning found that participants who engaged in these kinds of tasks were 3 times more likely to solve a creative problem afterward.
So you're telling me that, like, my everyday chores
Yes.
can actually be brain-boosting activities.
Exactly. That's amazing.
It's all about creating that space for your subconscious to speak without that inner critic constantly interrupting.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, technique number 2.
All right.
Relax your mind. Now, I have to admit, this is something I struggle with.
I think a lot of people do.
I feel like stress is my default setting.
It's understandable.
Yeah, our world is constantly demanding our attention.
Right, exactly.
But here's the thing. Stress releases hormones that can actually block creativity.
Oh, wow.
It's like putting a mental roadblock in the path of those aha moments.
So we need to kind of de-stress.
Yeah, we need to create a more relaxed environment in our minds.
Okay.
For those creative insights to flow.
So how do we do that?
Well, relaxation techniques like meditation, yoga, or even just taking a few deep breaths can help lower those stress hormones and create a more fertile ground for creative thinking.
So a calm mind is a creative mind.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the technique number 3?
All right, so this one might sound a bit counterintuitive in our hyper-connected world, but it's limit sensory input. Now, our brains are constantly bombarded with information from all sides.
All the time.
Right. Yeah. And it can be really overwhelming. So by reducing that sensory overload, whether it's finding a quiet space, using noise-canceling headphones, or even just closing your eyes for a few minutes, you're allowing your brain to focus inward. And tune into those subtle signals from your subconscious that might otherwise be drowned out.
So it's like creating a signal boost.
Yeah, it's exactly.
For your intuition.
Yes, precisely.
I like it.
And this isn't just, some new age concept. And neuroscientists have found that when we reduce sensory input, activity in the brain's default mode network increases.
Interesting.
Leading to more spontaneous and creative thinking.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try this one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What about technique number 4?
All right, so this one is all about activating the default mode network. Or DMN for short.
DMN.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is a network of brain regions that becomes active when we're not focused on any specific task.
So when our minds are wandering.
Exactly. When we're daydreaming, letting our thoughts flow freely. And it's been shown to play a crucial role in creative problem solving.
Interesting.
Insight generation, even self-awareness.
So those moments where we're staring out the window,
yes,
seemingly doing nothing.
Yeah, those are the moments.
Those are actually productive.
Exactly. It's during those periods of unfocused thought that our brains can make these unexpected connections.
Wow.
Generate new ideas.
Okay.
Gain fresh perspectives on existing problems.
So it's like giving our subconscious mind this space and freedom to play?
Exactly. It's like playtime for the brain.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is blowing my mind.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Okay, and finally, technique number 5.
All right.
Boost dopamine naturally.
Yes.
Now, when they say boost dopamine, I know we're not talking about like...
No quick fixes.
Okay.
No instant gratification.
Right.
This is about engaging in activities that promote healthy dopamine production.
Okay.
Which creates a positive feedback loop in the brain.
Gotcha.
Dopamine is associated with pleasure and reward.
Yeah.
And when we experience those feelings, we're more likely to continue exploring, experimenting, engaging in that creative thinking.
So it's about creating like a brain environment that encourages exploration and rewards.
Yes, exactly.
Those aha moments.
You got it.
I like that.
And the beauty of it is, a lot of these dopamine-boosting activities are things we already enjoy, like listening to music, spending time in nature, having a good conversation.
Right.
You know, so it's about being mindful of the activities that make us feel good and incorporating them into our daily lives to cultivate a more creative and insightful mind.
This is also fascinating.
It is.
And speaking of activities, our source material actually gives us a list of specific things that we can try to put all of this into practice.
Okay.
Which I think is a perfect segue to the next part of our deep dive.
All right, sounds good.
But first.
Yes. You know, we were just talking about those dopamine-boosting activities.
Right.
And I have to say, this next section is really interesting.
Okay.
It seems like those seemingly mundane activities we do every day might be more powerful than we realize.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
All right, so the first one might surprise you.
Okay.
It's fitness classes. Those instructor-led workouts, whether it's Zumba, spin class, or even just following along with a YouTube video.
Right.
They can be a secret weapon for your subconscious.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, it's not the first thing that comes to mind.
So how does that work? I mean, I love a good workout.
Right.
But I always thought of it as like a physical thing, not a mental boost.
Well, think about it. When you're in a fitness class, you're focused on following the instructor's cues, coordinating your movements, keeping up with the rhythm.
Right.
It's engaging enough to keep your prefrontal cortex occupied, but not so demanding that it blocks those intuitive insights.
So it's kind of like that distract your prefrontal cortex technique.
Exactly.
But with like the added bonus of endorphins.
Right. Exactly. You get a 2-for-1. And there's actually some research to back this up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A study published in the Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology found that participants who engaged in a moderate intensity exercise showed improved performance on creative problem-solving tasks afterward.
So your brain gets a workout too.
It does. It's like a mental gym session.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So fitness classes are on the list. What else do we have?
Okay, this one might be a bit more relatable. Home projects.
Home projects.
I know.
Sometimes those feel more like brain drain than brain gain.
Right. But hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening.
The key here is that these tasks often involve a perfect blend of repetition, motor skills, and just enough mental engagement to keep that prefrontal cortex busy without overloading it. So things like painting a room, gardening, or even just organizing a closet, they all require a certain level of focus and attention, but they also allow for those moments of mental downtime where your subconscious can wander and make connections.
So it's not just about getting stuff done.
No.
It's about giving your brain a chance to work on things in the background.
Exactly.
It's like, while I'm scrubbing the bathtub, my subconscious is solving a problem.
That's the idea.
And stuck on.
Yeah, and this isn't just speculation.
Okay.
Researchers have found that activities that engage both our minds and our bodies can actually boost creativity.
Interesting.
A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that participants who engaged in a craft activity, like knitting or crocheting, showed increased creativity on a subsequent task.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So those home projects might be more beneficial than we think.
All right, I'm starting to see my weekend to-do list in a whole new light.
There you go.
Okay, what other brain-boosting activities?
All right, this one's a classic for a reason.
Okay.
Shower or bath time.
Mm.
We've all had those moments of inspiration strike in the shower.
Right, those shower epiphanies.
Exactly, and now we know why.
I knew there had to be a scientific explanation.
There is. It's all about creating the perfect environment for your subconscious to shine.
Okay.
The running water creates white noise, helps block out external distractions.
Right.
The warmth and sensation of the water has a relaxing effect.
Yeah.
And the physical act of washing yourself involves those repetitive movements we talked about earlier.
So it's like a spa day for your subconscious.
Exactly. You got it.
I love it.
And this isn't just anecdotal evidence.
Oh, really?
A study published in the journal Cognition found that participants who took a warm shower before engaging in a creative task performed better than those who didn't.
So shower time is officially brain power time.
It is. Make it a ritual.
Okay, one last activity.
All right. This one is perfect for those who like to get their bodies moving, walking or running. And bonus points if you do it after a meal.
After a meal?
Yes, after a meal.
Okay, explain this to me.
So when you eat, your body focuses on digestion, which can actually free up mental resources for your subconscious.
Interesting.
Combine that with the rhythmic and repetitive motion of walking or running, and you've got a recipe for creative breakthroughs.
So it's like giving your brain a chance to wander while your body takes care of the other stuff.
That's a great way to put it.
And of course, there's that runner's high to consider as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the dopamine.
Yeah.
Rewarding you for doing something good for your body and mind.
Okay, so we've got fitness classes, home projects, shower time, walking or running.
Yep. All seemingly ordinary activities that can actually help us tap into our hidden brain power.
And the best part is, these are just a few examples.
Right. These are just a starting point.
There's so many other activities out there that can have the same effect.
The key is to experiment and find what works best for you.
I love that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Absolutely not.
It's about becoming more aware of our own internal processes and finding the tools that help us unlock our unique potential.
Exactly. It's about personalizing it.
Yeah.
And recognizing that our brains are adaptable.
Right.
They're capable of amazing things if we just give them the right environment to thrive.
It's like we're giving our brains the tools they need to do their best work.
I love that analogy.
Well, on that note, it sounds like we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Into unlocking your brain's hidden power.
I've really enjoyed it.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired.
Me too.
And energized.
It's amazing how much potential we have just waiting to be unlocked.
Okay, so before we wrap up completely, I think it's important to leave our listener with a final thought-provoking question to ponder.
I like it. Keep those mental gears turning.
Something that will keep those mental gears turning.
Okay.
You know, as we've been exploring all these techniques and activities, I keep coming back to this idea of assumptions.
Assumptions. Yeah.
Knowing what we now know about how our brains work.
Right.
Are we holding ourselves back?
That's a good question.
By clinging to certain beliefs that might be limiting our creative potential.
I think that's a really important point.
I know I'm guilty of that sometimes.
We all are.
It's so easy to get caught up in those negative self-talk loops.
Right, that inner critic.
And doubt our own abilities.
Yeah, but that's where all of this comes in.
Right.
By understanding how our brains work, we can start to challenge those limiting beliefs and create a more supportive and nurturing environment for our creativity to flourish.
It's like we're giving ourselves permission.
Yes.
To be more creative and innovative.
Exactly.
To trust in the power of our own minds.
That's a great way to put it.
And on that empowering note, I think it's time to wrap up this incredible deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring these fascinating concepts with you.
Likewise.
And our listener.
Yes.
I hope this deep dive has sparked a sense of curiosity and excitement about the incredible potential that lies within each of us.
Me too. And remember, unlocking your brain's hidden power isn't about some magical formula or quick fix.
Right.
It's about understanding how your mind works. Experimenting with different techniques, and cultivating a mindset that embraces creativity and innovation.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Absolutely.
Until next time, Keep exploring and keep unlocking that amazing power within you. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many of these techniques and activities we might already do without even realizing their brain-boosting potential.
It's like we've been doing it all along.
Right.
But now we have the science to understand why.
Exactly. It's like we've been given this secret code to unlock our full potential.
And the cool thing is, it's not about adding a bunch of new complicated things to our lives.
Right.
It's about being more mindful.
Yeah.
About the things we're already doing.
And seeing them through this new lens of brain power.
It's like a shift in perspective to make all the difference.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways from this deep dive.
Absolutely.
It's not about some, complex esoteric practice.
Right.
It's about being more intentional with the things we already do.
Making those everyday moments count.
Exactly.
Yeah, and recognizing that our brains are constantly working.
Right.
Even when we're not consciously directing them.
It's like they're always on.
Yes.
In the background.
Always processing, always making connections.
So how do we kind of harness that power?
Well, that's where these techniques and activities come in. They help us create the right conditions for our subconscious to thrive.
So it's about setting the stage.
Yeah, creating that fertile ground.
For those aha moments.
Exactly. And when we do that, we can tap into a level of thinking that goes beyond the everyday.
Wow.
And opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
It's like we've been given a treasure map.
I love that analogy.
And now we just need to start exploring.
Yeah, go on an adventure.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
It is. It's about embracing that sense of discovery.
Absolutely.
So to our listener, I encourage you to experiment with these techniques. Find what resonates with you.
Yeah.
And most importantly, trust in the power of your own mind.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
On this fascinating deep dive.
Yes.
Into unlocking your brain's hidden power.
I hope it's been insightful.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights, inspiration to start your own journey of discovery.
Yeah, keep exploring.
Until next time, keep exploring and keep unlocking that amazing power within you.